And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking the British bias versus Max Verstappen due to a comment he kind of made in the press conference. Here we go.
I have a quick question here. I mean, I appreciate all of you being here, but I don't see any British press. They have to run to the airport, or they don't know where they don't know where the the press conference is. You know?
That's a
No
fair
clue.
question. That's a fair question.
I mean, kind of cringe. I don't know why he did it. Win gracefully, I guess, but obviously he's had issues with the British press before. Yes, a lot of British press, can't even say it, for motorsport and Formula One are indeed from the UK. Is he right? Sort of. He is, I guess, in a way. Simply because everyone, including Max, including anyone, always have this unconscious bias. You do yourself when you go to work. You got that voice. You throughout your experiences, who you are. You're always going to have that kind of bias. Will it come out on people's reporting? Yes, I guess it will. But Max Verstappen saying that though. Let's get through that again. I mean,
I have a quick question here. I mean, I appreciate all of you being here, but I don't see any British press. They have to run to the airport, or
I don't know why he's saying that. For me, yes, it's a bit silly. He's saying it because he's obviously won. Well done, Max. He was a fantastic, the driver of the year, maybe. But
they don't know where the press. They don't know where the
got a couple of laughs, a couple of claps. Bear in mind how many are in the press conference. It was kind of awkward, I think, more than anything else.
press conference is. You know?
That's a
No
fair
clue.
question. That's a fair question.
Yeah, someone saying that's a fair question. So let's talk about the British. Is Britain actually biased? Well, this is the story that obviously came out. Max Verstappen takes aim at British press with savage conference remarks. This is from planetf1.com. As we know, he had a grid penalty. On the Saturday after the not grid, for his engine going into the race. He also had a penalty after the sprint race for. The fact is, he breached a rule. He broke a rule. It was one of those, you were too fast under the virtual safety car. That was a fact. He'd also got that penalty in Mexico, the 20-second penalty in the end, 2 times 10 seconds for driving aggressively. Many people, including myself, is this biased? I don't think it is. Thought, Max Verstappen, you've taken it too far now, and those penalties were 110% deserved. Is that bias? I don't think it is. But as a 5-place grid penalty issued, as we know, he had an absolutely amazing press conference, and suddenly now he's won. He's done the swear. He says he's now quite chatty and quite happy. It even says here, Spunky Verstappen was unusually chatty in the post-press conference. I mean, I appreciate all of you being here. We've just heard it. But I don't see any British press. Do they have to run to the airport, or they don't know where the press conference is? Yeah, I mean, why, Max? You just won a really good race, an amazing race, one of the drives of your career, and you're saying things like that. It's just the way he says it after you've won. I don't really understand. We'll get into, because I understand the British press are kind of like a tiny bit biased, maybe, the way they report on things. Sky F1 has been accused of being biased. Yes, I guess they are, simply because most, if not all their views, most of their views are British. So you're going to be interested in, I guess, the British drivers. Also, Formula One there's a lot of Britishness in Formula One simply because most of the teams are based in the UK. Now, when you look at the teams themselves, they're quite diverse. They have a multitude of, people from different countries working for the teams, which is fantastic. When you look at some of the really famous engineers, your Colin Chapmans, your Adrian Newmans, yes, they are British. If you want to go and learn how to design a car, the UK does have one of the best places for educations, and there's a number of places, colleges and universities, where you can learn engineering in respect of motorsport. There's lots of courses here. People come from all over the world to the UK. So I understand, like step, there is a certain amount of British bias. However, there's bias everywhere, and we'll definitely be proving that. What I think is interesting is this is from motorsportmagazine.com, and this is about, I think, from 2022. And Fernando Alonso was talking. He's saying it's not the fans that detect a less impartial element to F1, especially the media that covers it. Fernando Alonso broke cover to declare that the disproportionate number of British journalists covering the sport led to the creation of an atmosphere where other nationalities were seen as the enemy. And you can go as far back, for example, as 1994, the naughty Michael Schumacher. And it didn't start in Adelaide. It started, I think, at the British Grand Prix, funnily enough, when he took the lead from Damon Hill on the warm-up lap and ended up getting a black flag. You may think that's quite disproportionate, but ultimately he broke a rule. And the press did see at that time Michael Schumacher as the villain, because their Damon Hill was going up against Michael Schumacher. Yes, obviously, before that we had stars like Nigel Mansell. James Hunt was much revered as well. But you could see it from there. Having said that, Schumacher in 1994 took Damon Hill out to win the championship. Is that bias? No, I don't think it is. And I think, is it British bias? Definitely not. And I think this article, the bits I'm going to read out to you in a bit, I feel is quite interesting. So, I have the impression, Alonso says, always, that when things become a little spicy or tense on the title fight, this sport, it is a British environment, Alonso said. I completely agree with him there. You know all the teams, they are British. Most of you guys, the journalists or the media attention, TV crews, everyone is from the UK. I wouldn't say everyone, but the majority. And understandably, there is a little bit of preference of your guy in your country who can be competitive and keeps winning. It was what I felt when I was racing. And it seemed like I was the bad guy when I was trying to fight against British guys. Yes, I completely get that. The caveat to that, though, is Fernando Alonso in Hungary got quite upset with Lewis Hamilton. That's when the negativity really started in 2007. Blocked Lewis Hamilton, stopped Lewis Hamilton from trying to get his lap. To be fair, Lewis Hamilton did go against the rules. I think Fernando Alonso was, McLaren have this in qualifying. You take the lead, then the next race meeting, I take the lead. And he just took the lead and did I think his first lap first. And I think Alonso got understandably upset. But then Alonso purposely when they came into the pits, somehow he was ahead of Lewis, or that was the order, and he purposely sat there in the pits, making sure Lewis had, pretty much no time to do another lap, got pole position, got that taken away. It was really, really embarrassing. There are also rumours that Fernando Alonso also, supposedly, big pinches of salt here, threatened Ron Dennis because he knew about the Ferrari conspiracy when McLaren had the blueprints to the Ferrari car, and he said, and he used it to strong arm into being the number one, allegedly. I don't know how true that is, but there were all these stories. Was that bias? It may well have been, but the way Fernando Alonso was at McLaren, I understand why he had his back against the wall, but the way he acted wasn't professional at all. Is that British bias? Maybe a bit, but still, obviously he doesn't say all that, so. Alonso may have a point there, the article said, thanks in part to the massive growth of digital coverage. And I digress there a bit. Oh, sorry. I hit the mic. I digress. I do kind of agree. Absolutely. The coverage which uses video overwhelmingly in English. F1 does indeed speak with a British accent. Although as the events, and this is what I think is interesting, the events in Abu Dhabi are test. This was after 2020. This was in 2022, remember. So we've had Abu Dhabi 21. And as the events in Abu Dhabi are test, media bias is not the same as actual bias. And the fact that so many teams are based here is a reflection of the skills, facilities and opportunities on offer rather than any bending of the rules. But the important thing is media bias is not the same as actual bias. Now, in any case, reading this magazine will know it was never thus. When we started reporting on motorsport racing, Britain was very much an also-ran. That was in 1924. But anyway, that was what I felt was rather interesting there, in my opinion. So, let's then fast forward to why Verstappen was penalised for clashing with Hamilton in Brazil. Now, if you cast your way, this is an example now of reporting, because we're going to do the UK reporting, and funnily enough, we're going to have a look at the Netherlands reporting it. It's from autosport.com, which their sister company's motorsport.com. They also have a New Zealand website, does motorsport.com. So I'm trying to keep it as balanced as I can. So Why Verstappen was penalised for clashing with Hamilton in Brazilian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen and Lewis may not have gone wheel to wheel, but Sunday's incident. This is the incident here. So we have Autosport reporting on this, and we're going to be looking at the British side of things because Autosport is a British publication, although they do go to the world. They are, the number one, many say, in motorsport news. Quite rightly, I subscribe to them. Well, actually, my brother pays for it. He's really, really kind. Thanks. But yeah, so Verstappen's racecraft conduct in close battle has been widely praised this year, but it was the Red Bull driver who copped a penalty for causing a collision with Hamilton as they fought for second place, the pair touching through the Senna S's. It said Verstappen had taken the high line into turn 1 in a bid to get to the inside switch back to Hamilton, knowing he had to be aggressive, but Verstappen appeared to run out of room. Something he blamed Hamilton. As he made his way back to the pits, Verstappen claimed Hamilton left him no room. The stewards handed Verstappen a 5-second penalty, but many fans were left undecided. It was noted in the stewards' ruling that Hamilton could have left a bit more room, meaning Verstappen was predominantly, but not wholly, to blame. He was the one, essentially, to blame. So it goes on. Now, here's the interesting thing, because we're going to look at now, we're going to look at the article that has been translated, so yeah, and Google Translate is not the best, but still, I imagine we are going to get the gist of it. So let's have a look then at the reporting on that by the Netherlands, the Netherlands one. Okay, so here we go. This is motorsport.com. NL, Netherlands. Max Verstappen explains after moments with Perez and Hamilton in Brazil. Yeah, as you can see, the translate is not great. But had to settle for P6 in the penultimate of the 2022 Formula 1 season at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Collided with Hamilton, which earned Verstappen a 5-second penalty. I immediately saw that Lewis didn't want to give me any space, so we went off together. In the final phase, Verstappen did not let Sergio pass. We all know that was really bad. I just gave my reasons internally. It's all good. We've spoken now. So Max Verstappen started the race in Sao Paulo, favourite on Friday, but the sprint did not go as planned. They're talking about that. Verstappen, it says, attacked Hamilton, was significantly off when braking for the first corner, significantly off when braking for the part 2 of the Senna S. The latter is what the FIA rule stated, which state the defending party must leave space. Hamilton did not do that, which caused Verstappen to sit on the curbstones in contact. The FIA stewards came to the opposite conclusion with the same guidelines, as we see here. Now, according to, Verstappen made his reasons known internally, a result of Monaco. That was obviously the Perez thing. According to Verstappen, the safety car put him 1 or 2 places further ahead than normal. But yeah, so, okay. That one, to be fair, it's fairly okay. Not too bad. Now, let's get, though, into the reporting of Abu Dhabi. Before we get to that, though, let's get into the reporting of Max Verstappen versus the British press and how we've read how PlanetF1.com has reported it. Let's have a look at how the New Zealand Motorsport.com reported it. And Verstappen gets his revenge in press conference. Where is the British press now? With a massive that wasn't even taken from the press conference, was it? That's like a completely separate picture. But revenge. Max Verstappen took a big step towards his 4th title in Brazil. Congratulations. On a day that started dramatically. Therefore, yep. It was crazy. That was that. And I mean, it doesn't even talk about it at the beginning. It talks about how good the race was. But there we go. I mean, just a bit, simply when you just look at the reporting. Now, the next one may trigger some people. This is, I think, an article from 2022, again on the New Zealand Motorsport site. And it's going to talk about Abu Dhabi 2021. And the headline simply is, Max Verstappen outsmarts Lewis Hamilton on the final lap of 2021 Abu Dhabi GP. Did he though? Yeah. I'm not having a go at the reporting from the Netherlands. Absolutely not. I mean, loads of people from Holland, from the Netherlands, are now Formula 1 fans, and it is absolutely fantastic. The point I'm making is they are just as biased as, when you look, they are just as biased as the British media, which is not really an issue. But they always say, British bias in Formula 1. No, in Formula 1, there's no British bias. The reporting, potentially. But British bias is different to media bias. Very much so. And talking about Abu Dhabi, we'll get into a bit more with that in a second. But the important thing is British bias is different to media bias. When the media kind of like jumps on a story, and it was the media, not necessarily not really the UK media, the British media, that jumped on Verstappen. Not in Abu Dhabi 2021, but they very much jumped on the media, jumped on Verstappen for his bad driving in Mexico, for the controversy in the United States Grand Prix, because he did have Lando off. Yes, Lando shouldn't have passed him, but Max did create that incident. Lando completed it, and yeah, probably in hindsight, he shouldn't have done it. Mexico, Max, once again at the first corner, I'm either going to hit you or you let me go with Carlos Sainz. And then with the Lando Norris, pushed Lando Norris off and then dive bombed in, was not intending to make the corner. That was dangerous driving. He got 2 penalty points. So there's no British bias there. It's a fact. When you look at it, it's a fact. Max Verstappen deserved those points. That is not British bias. Maybe some media bias when he feels he's being attacked. But still, so I don't really appreciate. Yes, it's a funny jibe. I just thought it was a bit silly. But that's one of the reasons why everyone likes Max Verstappen. So yeah. Now the last thing I want to get into is if you remember back in 2022, Ted Kravitz said this.
He seems very happy with himself. He doesn't seem to be a driver able to win a championship in a normal way.
No, but he wasn't being harsh. I mean, in a normal way, meaning Abu Dhabi 2021. Let's be fair. No, Verstappen should not have won that. I don't care. But everyone pit stop. No, I've done videos about that. No, did both of them deserve to win that championship? Absolutely. In a way, they both did in terms of their talent, and it was. And so, still to this day, one of the most talked about world championships. But let's see what Ted says.
Seven-time world champion. Almost said 8-time world champion. 7-time world champion.
7-time world champion.
Goes into final race, trying to be the greatest of all time and win championship.
He does.
Gets robbed. Comes back.
And it's the gets robbed comment that a lot of people have an issue with. Here we go again.
And win championship. Gets robbed. Comes back.
Now, if you want to talk about bias, that is a fact. Going by the rules, Hamilton should have won Abu Dhabi. We're over it. But I'm just using this as an example. And then it was, because he's obviously from Sky Sports, he's spouting the truth. Was it wise to say it? I don't know. But he was reporting that Hamilton should have won the championship. And then Max Verstappen throws his toys out the pram and says, I'm not talking to them anymore now because they told the truth. And then obviously Red Bull, it only happened for one race, sadly. And then they came back. We had a talk. It's all things clear now. But yeah, that was from my point of view. From Red Bull, a big, massive global company. Red Bull Racing, one of the most recognised Formula One teams currently. A bit embarrassing, really, wasn't it? A bit embarrassing in relation to that. Was that British bias? No, I don't think it was. I do think it was Red Bull throwing their toys out the pram in 2022. So all this accusation, British bias. When you look at Johnny Herbert, I mean, the way he's been treated by some people on social media is absolutely disgusting. I'm not even gonna show examples because I'll probably be thrown off YouTube. It's really bad. And Johnny Herbert, I don't think he's biased. He's a nice guy. There are 4 stewards in there as well. So even if he is going to be biased, no. And then the son of a founder of McLaren, okay, fair enough then. But if you actually look at history, I do believe, I think it was Teddy, one of the engineers, I think he was let go by McLaren. So maybe then, if his father was let go and it wasn't in a nice way, I don't know, maybe he's got something against McLaren then, but no one thinks that. Everyone does it to kind of fit their view. I'm probably guilty of it as well. But yes, there is British bias in Formula One reporting. Once again, I completely agree. And attest to that. It's not as bad as people think. Is there bias from the Netherlands with Max Verstappen? Yes. Is there bias from Italy and Ferrari? Yes. One thing is, but when Ferrari do something wrong, oh my gosh, does the town where Ferrari are based, not good. I mean, I remember one year, what is it, in 1999, Eddie Irvine came in at the Nürburgring. It was raining, and they only had 3 tyres ready for poor Eddie Irvine in 1999. Now, the town where Ferrari, which I had on the tip of my tongue, I completely forgot. Maranello, that's it. So, the town where Ferrari have their base, Maranello, they ended up putting apparently a tyre in the town square, saying, there it is, we found it. That's how savage they are. And the Italian media, I think, are, as much as they love Ferrari, they're equally critical of them. It's like the national team. But every media is biased. Yes, granted. That is just going to happen. But by suggesting the British media is any more biased than the others, I think when I look at some of the websites, I mean, in other countries, I think they're a lot fairer than others. I mean, at the end of Sky, everyone lambasted Sky, but no, they were all applauding Max Verstappen, saying it was one of the best victories ever, his best victory ever. I was saying it's one of his best victories ever. It was absolutely brilliant. Maybe, people have suggested a bit of luck with the red flag, but yeah, you make your own luck. He still had to make those passes. He still had to come from 17th, and he still won by, 20 seconds nearly. An absolutely amazing drive. And they were all saying that, agreeing with Christian Horner. Where's the bias there? It's just a... Excuse me. People just use it when it fits, which is kind of sad. Anyway, I digress. Before I start my coughing fit, I'm going to say, if you liked what you see, or you got something, or you want to comment, please do it. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.